Hi, we're entering into our fall season here, and the weather has really turned quite damp and cool out. And when it turns into colder weather, my body really craves soup. And one of the soups that I really, really like a lot is from Dr. McDougall. It's a 0 point soup on purple, and it's a Moroccan red lentil soup. I'll drop the link for the recipe below. I make some changes to it. In the recipe, he uses orzo, and that is orzo and couscous. Those are really forms of pasta. So I substitute with millet because millet is 0 points on purple. And I use some whole spices, and I'll show you. Come on, check out what the ingredients are. So here are the ingredients for the soup. There's some rough chopped onions. It called for 1.5 cups of tomatoes. I had some still from my garden, the yellow ones. And I had some canned ones open in the fridge. Called for celery. I don't have celery, but I have fennel, so I added about an equal quantity, I guess about 2 cups maybe. And like I said, it calls for orzo. I've added millet. I've got a mix of red lentils here. I've got whole and split. A couple bay leaves. I've got some black beans, and I'm going to grind some pepper fresh from the grinder, from the mill. And then for my spices, it calls for turmeric, ginger, and ground coriander and cinnamon. So I've got a whole cinnamon stick. I grind my coriander in my coffee grinder. It's amazing when you grind it fresh from the seed. And I'm going to add all of this into the pot with 6 cups of water, which I will turn into some veggie broth with a powdered veg broth that I've got. So let's make the soup from scratch. This is for you newbies. So first of all, I'm going to put my water in. Or if you're using broth, just put your broth in. I'm going to add in I've got some powdered vegetable base here. And I'm just going to let this come up to a boil. So my broth has come up to a boil. The original recipe calls for sauteing this in 1/2 cup of water before adding the rest of the ingredients, but I don't think that's really necessary. It's only my own preference. So this is the onions and the fennel are going in. Next I'm going to add in the tomatoes, my own tomatoes, and the canned tomatoes. Give this a little stir here. And I want my heat to be at a simmer. I'm going to add in my black beans. I'm going to add in my bay leaf, my split red lentils, and the whole red lentils. I'm going to give this a stir because you don't want this sticking together. And I'm going to add in my spices now. So I've got the ginger, I've got the coriander and the turmeric. I always add a little bit more on those spices, and my cinnamon. I think adding a whole cinnamon stick really gives it an awful lot of flavor. And I'll show you what it looks like when it comes out of the soup too, because I'll have to fish that out with the bay leaves. And then I've got the millet. So I'm going to stream this in. Once again, I'm going to keep stirring because I don't want it to stick together. And that's it for the soup. Now this is going to come back up to the boil, and then I'll keep it at a simmer. And it'll be ready to eat then. So I'll show you what it looks like when it's all done. So the soup is ready, and I've got my bay leaf and my cinnamon stick here. Sometimes the cinnamon sticks, they swell up really, really big and fat, but you want to pull it out anyway. You don't want anybody getting that in their bowl, and you don't want anybody getting the bay leaf either. Now, I'm going to finish off with lemon juice. The recipe calls for 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. So I've had a pretty dry lemon here. This lemon juice absolutely makes the recipe. If you don't add it in, you really don't get the same impact with the flavor. Okay, that comes up to 2 tablespoons. I'm going to stir that in. And now I'm going to add in my pepper. I forgot to add it in before. Cracked black pepper from the mill is always better. And I like lots of it. I didn't mention one of the things that the recipe called for was chickpeas. And I added in, there's another bay leaf. I added in black beans because black beans have more of a nutritional bang for the buck. So I'm going to plate it now, okay? here we go. The recipe calls for chopped cilantro to be added to the soup, but I'm going to add it in as it's served because I'm going to freeze some of my soup, and I don't want the cilantro to be all mushy in there. So I'll just add it on top of the soup, and also adds a nice contrast when you eat it. So there you have it, from start to finish, Moroccan red lentil soup. It is so delicious, and like I said, it's 0 points on purple. It's super easy to make, and I think that you'll really like it. Thanks for watching. My name's Jill. Have a great day.